Call the September 27th meeting of the Mexico City Council to order. Would you call the roll, please?
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
First item will be the approval of minutes of September 13th regular session.
I move the approval of minutes.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
This time we'll open a public hearing. I move for the opening of a public hearing to consider the change to sanitary sewer use rate charge.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Hay,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers,
Yes.
Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor, this is the hearing for the purpose of discussing the wastewater rate adjustment and the proposed to be effective with the new fiscal year starting October 1. To cover the details, Roger Haynes.
Council. Notice of the public hearing was advertised in the Mexico Ledger this past August. This hearing is for the purpose of discussing the wastewater rate adjustment that is proposed to be effective with the upcoming fiscal year. Currently, we have three categories for which the rate is made up. One is, of course, the base rate, and then the capital charge portion, and then the user charge portion. Both the capital and user charge portions are variable, and the base rate is fixed. Currently, the user charge portion is $1.30 per 1,000 gallons. That is proposed to move to $1.04 per 1,000 gallons. The capital charge, which is currently $5.53 per 1,000 gallons, that would move to $5.75 per 1,000 gallons. The base rate would remain the same at $9.09. As an example, the effect of an average residential household on 5,000 gallons per month, the current rate per month would be $42.24 per month. That would move to $44.50, roughly a 2% adjustment. As a little background, in 2008, the City of Mexico did recently engineering services at Warren Shipping to do a facility study and asset analysis on the wastewater treatment operation. In 2009, that plan was presented by Warren Shipping to council and the public and city staff, and outlined approximately $12,461,000 in capital improvements that were needed. With voter approval, Phase 1 and Phase 2 improvements were financed through bonds issued during 2010 and 2011. Fortunately, in 2020, with rates being so low, we were able to refund those bonds and acquire a substantially lower interest rate, which also lowered the annual bond payment and reduced the payment term. From that point, rather than financing the third phase of improvements through another bond issue and taking on additional debt, the city has elected to tackle additional needs for capital improvements by priority ranking each need and putting into effect a pay-as-you-go tactic where cash is reserved and drawn down from anticipated outlay. From 2015 to 2020, the City of Mexico has been able to fund in excess of $3.7 million in capital improvements and equipment purchases without additional borrowing. It is estimated that the fiscal year we're in right now, we will spend approximately $626,000 in capital outlay. In the fiscal year coming up, 2022, we have budgeted $777,000 in capital purchases and improvements, all of which need additional. In addition to the annual debt service payment and cash-funded capital outlay, wastewater fees must be adequate to cover costs associated with daily operations, maintenance of equipment, repair, renewal, and of course, replacement reserves. This evening, staff presents to the wastewater fund financial projections and a recommended sewer rate adjustment that is needed to provide sufficient financial resources for continued debt service coverage, capital improvements, and ongoing operations. As a part of the public hearing, I have a short PowerPoint presentation to go over. We're going to give a summary of costs in the different categories. First, the rate adjustment consideration is for sanitary sewer operations taking the following expenditures into consideration: daily operations and maintenance of equipment, cash fund capital outlays, which include plant structures, collection systems, vehicles, and equipment. And of course, debt service obligations would be the payments that are included in the bond. And then it's also recommended that we would set back funds for repair, renewal, and replacement. The next sheet here, highlighted in green, does show what we have in the budget for this upcoming fiscal year as far as capital outlays. Now, at the bottom in green, you see we have budgeted $777,000 for this upcoming fiscal year. Some of the major outlays on that would be the continuing the slip line program, for $300,000 in for that. The next biggest cash outlay would be finishing up the diffuser rehabilitation. And then in the final building, we've got to completely redo the HVAC system. Now, the projected for 23, 24, 25, 26, some of that is plug-in numbers, just setting aside anywhere between $500,000 and $726,000 for future capital outlays, which we do know will continue to do the slip line to the tune of approximately $300,000 per year, if not more. The next item that we have to consider when we're developing rate is our annual debt service. 2022, we have an annual payment of $745,150, and that's about what it will average between now and its payoff. The final payoff will be in 2032. It's a smaller amount, I think it's $50,000 in that final year. The other thing to note here, as you can see, in looking at the prior year, we were running around $780,000 per year for debt service. So by doing that refunding, again, we were saving about $35,000 a year in debt payments, and of course, we shortened the term of those payments too. This is a summary of revenues and expenditures. These are shown also in the annual budget. Schedule 2, there's some detail and handouts I've given you. The summary amount for O&M is $1,799,373. We've already discussed that we have capital outlay of $777,000, and then of course the debt service of $740,050. And then of course we have set aside project reserve of $80,000 for those loans. So our total budget expenditures at $3.4 million, our projected revenue at $3.23 million. We are planning to discuss our reserves to take care of some of those capital outlays. But again, that's part of the plan, building up reserves so that we can pay for outlays, so that we don't have to refinance ourselves absolutely necessary. Here, the wastewater user projections, basically down at the bottom, it just shows that we're based on 5,000 gallons usage. The monthly bill will be $44.54 compared to current $43.24. I think at this point it's also important to point out that we did not have a rate change last year because of COVID. Sort of getting back on track to meet our obligations. The other thing that we did run here is kind of a comparison of 12 other cities. We show on the far left-hand side the Mexico's current rate, again, based on 5,000 gallons, proposed rate, and then you go across to see how we compare with others. We're within 10% plus or minus with most of the communities, such as Fulton, Hannibal, Holt Summit, Moberly, Osage, Troy. Others, you will see that they do not price their residential and their non-residential customers the same as far as on the variable cost. Such as Columbia, you'll see that the residential cost is lower than what we have and others have, but they charge a lot more for the non-residential customer. And same holds true with Winston. The other thing that is important to point out, this is within the covenants of the last two bonds that we had issued, is the rate covenant. This says that we must set our rates so that when we take out our variable costs, our O&M costs, that we're able to cover our debt service at 110%. In any year that we would not be able to meet that requirement, it says that we would be required to hire a consultant to give us recommendations of how to fix that. So what we do is we make sure that we don't get to that point where we have to spend the consultants' money to buy a consultant because of different rates, but we have to do that. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Has there ever been a consideration for residential, non-residential difference?
When we first did the study in '08, there was a proposed both ways, and at that time, the council said, let's just keep the rates the same to some extent promote economic development. And as you can see from the study, it's kind of half and half. On the rate comparison, you keep the rates the same for resident, non-residential, and so on. So it's different pieces as far as rate.
Is this so what's the total percentage of the increase for the bill, for your bill? What would that mean?
Again, I use a figure of 5,000 gallons as a typical residential, that would be 3%.
3%? Why is there a 3% and a 4% on two different things? I've got a 3% on administrative, and then I've got a 4% on variable, which would make the overall bill more than 3% higher.
But again, it depends upon the volume.
Right.
Because we kept the base rate the same.
Why is there a difference? I never heard anything about we were doing two different rates for two different things.
Yeah. And we've done this the last couple of years, and I've prepared some spreadsheets during the study session for the prior 2 years. And the emphasis was to try not to hit the residential as hard, by keeping the base rate the same. But the heavy user, let's say 200,000 gallon user per month, they're going to pay a little bit more because we put more on the system for sewer. In that case, you're looking at, they probably have about 3.7% rate adjustment overall.
More questions? If not, at this time, we'll take questions from the public. If you'd like to ask a question, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and try to hold your comments to 3 minutes.
On the sewer, on the sanitary sewer.
On the sanitary sewer, yes.
Let's clarify that.
Okay. That's all public hearing we have going.
Well, last time someone came in.
Seeing no one come forward, I make a motion we close the public hearing on the sanitary sewer charge.
Second. Do we have to?
Williams,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
At this time, I move for a public hearing for the final approval of Lakeside at the Oaks Planned Unit Development.
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs,
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Lakeside at the Oaks is a planned unit development located at 1801 East Liberty, adjacent to the country club area. And this is a kind of a mixed use with residential and recreation and so on. To cover the details of the planned unit development, Rita Jackson.
As Mr. Struggle has recently said, this public hearing concerns a request for final approval of Lakeside and Oaks Planned Unit Development, PUD, submitted by a civil group on behalf of Oak Tree Club LLC. Lakeside at the Oaks PUD is located at 1801 East Liberty. A planned unit development is a type of building development which is a design grouping of varied and compatible land uses such as housing, recreation, and commercial, all within one confined development. In accordance with Section 42774A of the Mexico Code, the owner of a tract of land may submit to the Planning and Zoning Commission for its review a preliminary plan for the use and development of such tract for a residential planned unit development, provided that the tract is located in any R district or C1 or C2 district. The proposed Lakeside at the Oaks PUD tract of land is currently zoned R1, single-family residential, and C2, general commercial district, which meets this requirement. Lakeside at the Oaks PUD totals 9.36 acres and includes 10 single-family detached villas and 22 single-family attached villas. A proposed private street, which will be Fairway Oaks Court, will be 25 feet wide with a 5 feet sidewalk on the north side. Fairway Oaks Court intersects with each Liberty Street and only has one entrance with a turnaround at the end. There is a cart drive from the Oaks Clubhouse, which may be used to provide emergency access should the entrance be blocked. Fairway Oaks Court is to remain privately owned and maintained. There are no provisions for the street to continue in the future. In accordance with Section 3653A of the Mexico City Code, new subdivisions shall have sidewalks on both sides of the street. Oak Tree Club LLC requested the city waive its requirement that the sidewalk be installed on both sides of the street. They feel that the sidewalk along the north side of the street should be suffice, as the majority of the homes will be in the subdivision located on the north side of the street. Additionally, this is a golfing community, and many individuals will own their own carts and may not benefit directly from having a sidewalk on the south side. The existing 15-inch sanitary sewer is shown to be relocated. The sewer will be a publicly owned and maintained line because it carries flow from outside the development as well as internally to the development. After construction, it will be necessary to vacate the old line and easement. The new line and easement will need to be dedicated on the final plat. Locations of the water and electric utilities are shown along the street. At the September 7, 2021 Planning and Zoning Commission, the commission made motion to grant preliminary and final approval of Lakeside at the Oaks Planned Unit Development and to grant the sidewalk waiver. This public hearing was posted in the Mexico Ledger on September the 8th and 15th. Staff recommends that council proceed with the advertised public hearing. And from the Oaks Development in the audience, we have Mary Weber, and we also have Ron Stewart, which is a contingent buyer.
Questions for Rita?
Yeah, I have a question. The turnaround at the end there, it's not like a, where is, how is this, is it right there? It's just a pull in and pull back thing?
One there, there's three of them.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So this is all private, though? Even when it's done, it's a private building?
Yes.
So it's a private street, we don't have to maintain it or anything?
No.
Okay.
Other questions? If not, at this time, we'll take public comments on the final approval of Lakeside at the Oaks Planned Unit Development. If you'd like to ask a question, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and try to hold your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing no one come forward, I move that we close the public hearing.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes?
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Next item are ordinances. The first one is Bill Number 2021-60, an ordinance amending the Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 40, 160A of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charges. Need 2 readings by title only and passage. It's your all's pleasure.
I move for the first reading, Bill Number 2021-60.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill Number 2021-60, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 40-160A of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer usage charges. I move for the second reading of Bill Number 2021-60.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-60, an ordinance amending Chapter 40, Article 3, Division 4, Section 40-168 of the Mexico City Code relating to sanitary sewer use charge. I move for passage of Bill number 2021-60.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Next item B, Bill number 2021-61, an ordinance for the final approval of Lakeside at the Oaks Planned Unit Development, PUD, in the city of Mexico, Missouri.
I move for first reading of bill number 2020-61.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Oh, abstain.
Say you better.
Abstain.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-61, an ordinance for final approval at Lakeside at the Oaks Plan Unit Development in the city of Mexico, Missouri. Move for second reading of bill number 2021-61.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Abstain.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-61, an ordinance for final approval of Lakeside at the Oaks Plan Unit Development in the city of Mexico, Missouri. I move for passage of bill number 2021-61.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Abstain.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Next item is Bill number 2021-62, an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article 10, Schedule 13 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedule of the City of Mexico City Code. Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, Your Honor, we did receive a petition from the adjacent property owners on Rivers Drive asking us to reconsider the parking restrictions on this street. To cover the details of what they're asking for, Drew Williford, Assistant Engineer.
Good evening, council. As Bruce mentioned, this covers lifting some parking restrictions along Rivers Drive, which is located on the east side of town. And in this proposal, we're recommending that the south side, as you see on your screen here, remain no parking. And for 50 feet on that far west end to accommodate emergency vehicles and turning movements, remain no parking. But the remainder on the north side be allowed to have parking to serve the residents on both sides of the streets. We're using the north side. From what I understand, there were some signs which were removed and residents were used to that parking arrangement. In addition, there are more houses along the north side, and so there are some reasons and premises for proceeding in that direction. Staff did conduct a review of this road. We deployed our traffic counter on the road. We looked at the alignment of the road, obstructions, any kind of traffic-related issues. We don't see any concerns or red flags with proceeding in this manner. It would accommodate emergency services and allow a good balance for residential parking in the neighborhood. So we would recommend proceeding with 2 readings by title only and passage of the attached ordinance. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
So be no parking on the south side? Is that what this is? And parking just on the tip there in the north. I'd like to say thanks, Drew, because I don't know what's changed, but I asked about this several years ago and was told, absolutely, we are not doing anything. So I don't know if you did something different. It was before you even came, so I appreciate it, because I had people asking me about this years ago, and I don't know why it's different now than it was when I asked, but I'm
This was brought
glad.
by petition, so we definitely looked at it and evaluated it.
What was the history of no parking on that street?
All of those streets in 1988 were assigned no parking, so Franklin, Rivers, and Friendship, I think, is the one that's south there, as well as Owney Street and Sanadec. The reason at that time, and it also included some history on the 1 and 25 mile per hour speed limits on all those streets and a curfew for children at 9 p.m. So it wouldn't surprise me if you had some people that were seeing something going on. I don't know too much history beyond that, but Marcy was kind enough to find the...
The history we looked up on it was that it was a request from the neighborhood that it be restricted.
Yeah, that's it.
So now the request is to go back the other direction.
And it is wide enough for emergency vehicles and stuff if there's a car parked on the
As long as we just keep the one side, yeah.
Yeah, I was reading their petition. It took me a minute to figure out what they wanted exactly, whether they wanted parking or they didn't want parking, but they don't want parking, is that correct?
They
want
do
want parking. They want parking.
They do want parking. On the north side is what we're proposing to, and that's to maintain emergency access throughout the block without having. So
They made a
Here's the
statement.
question, is this what you want?
Parking on the north side.
Okay.
It does get confusing when you're talking about no parking zones and eliminating a no parking zone. So I apologize if I.
Well, it wasn't you, it's trying to, I was reading that, it just sounded like they were saying the opposite of what they meant, but they didn't, so it's all right.
More questions? If not, it's a pleasure.
I move for a first reading of bill number, 2021-62.
Second. Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-62, an ordinance amending Chapter 38, Article X, Schedule 13 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedules of the Mexico City Code. I move for a second reading.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-62, an ordinance amending Chapter 28, Article X, Schedule 13 of the Traffic and Vehicle Schedules of the Cities of Mexico City Code. I move for passage.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Have we done passage?
Yes, sir.
Resolutions are next. Bill number 2021-63, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Instaform Technologies USA Incorporated for CIPP work. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. During investigation into the sanitary sewer in the areas that we're going to talk about here, was identified a couple of segments that we had some inflow in, and so we're proposing to move with some pipelining to be done in this area. To cover the details, Kenzie Russell.
Council may recall that this same contractor that we completed the pipelining work with this past year. These two locations are in the North Jefferson and the Anderson Street areas here in what I would term the north central part of the city. They were located through the Boots 360 pilot program that we did this past spring, which uses sonic detection here. And one is a case where the bottom pipe is broken where it crosses the town branch. So when we have a rain and water flows, it obviously takes water into the sanitary sewer. The other situation is where the sanitary sewer line lays just below the storm line. Both have broken, the sanitary and the storm, so when a rain and water comes off the street into that pipe system, it dumps from the storm line into the sanitary line. And we've TV'd both the lines. They both can be amenable with slip lining. We went to a cooperative purchasing group, the buy board group that the city's a member of. The cooperative purchasing group takes bids, competitive bids, and then posts the unit prices and contract that's available for members to use. So with the familiarity with the contractor and the availability of the contractor using the cooperative purchasing group to provide the cost for us, certainly seemed to be a good way to quickly try to take care of this while we have dry weather before we get into a wet weather period. The unit costs are pretty much the same across the board with what we had experienced in our contract previously, so we thought that it was fair pricing. Contract for the work's estimated to be $40,654. We plan to take that from our line item for asphalt place lining work for the budget that goes into effect here October 1. Recommend that the council approve the contract. Any questions?
I don't have a question. That's a good deal, but while we're talking about slip lining, and I thought it was in situ form, what was going on at Garfield today? That was not in situ form. I don't know who those people were.
That is a company called Business Sewer. You'll recall that we approved the contract with them to clean the existing line. That's a result of the sewer overflow work.
So they were just cleaning.
They had there at Huntingfield.
Okay.
So they are in town doing that work.
Just cleaning. That's what I need.
Right.
All right. Thank you.
I move for reading of bill number 2021-63.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-63, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Instaform Technologies USA Incorporated for CIPP work. I move for passage of bill number 2021-63.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Bill number 2021-64, resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Duke's Root Control Incorporated for chemical root control in the city sanitary sewer collection system. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor, this is for treatment in the sanitary sewer collection system to remove tree roots. And to cover the details of this contract, once again, Kenzie Russell.
This is maintenance work that we've been doing for the past several years to chemically treat the sanitary sewer lines, and it kills and dries up roots that have grown in through the joints. It doesn't solve the problem of the bad joints, but it does help us keep the lines clear and prevent backups. Duke's Root Control is a proprietary system for this. Because they're a sole source provider, we had gotten a quote from them. Then we found that they also were part of the cooperative purchasing group of Dyboard. We went and compared and actually saved a few $100s by going to the cooperative purchasing contract. Dukes was agreeable to do that for us. So we are estimating that the cost will be $25,338.04 for doing this work. It involves lines from 6 inches up to, I believe, 15 inches in diameter. And the cost is included as part of the professional services line item in our upcoming budget. So we're proposing that this agreement also be.
How long have we been using them?
5 or 6 years, I believe. Well, no longer than that, because they provide a 3-year warranty on their work, and we have been using them probably about 8 or 9 years. We actually have retreated some of the very first lines. We've been using them probably close to 8 years now.
Sounds good.
Move for reading of bill number 2021-64.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes. Bill number 2021-64, a resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with Duke's Root Control Incorporated for chemical root control in the city's sanitary sewer collection system. I move for passage of bill number 2021-60.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.
Next, under other business, staff report, purchase of a John Deere 85G track excavator for the street maintenance department. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. This is for the purchase of a excavator. It is it is available now, so that's why we want to move forward. It's actually in the next budget year to cover the details. Kenzie Russell.
This is the excavator, the large excavator that we use for house demolitions, for pipeline work at some depth. It's also used for some of the street patching, loading. It has the reach to reach over the top of the dump truck side. And so we do use it for a number of purchases. The current machine is a Bobcat 2016 model machine. We had some downtime with it, some considerable downtime with it over last year, over some parts that were, in my opinion, as an engineer, under-designed, that kept breaking, and ultimately Bobcat replaced it with a beefier, a stronger part. But we did have issues with getting the parts, getting the service, downtime. It is 5 years old and has a number of hours on it. The demolition work is hard on the machines. So we began looking for, we budgeted for replacement. When we began looking for it, we discovered that there is a 2021 machine sitting at Ashland on the Martin Equipment lot that they were willing to hold for us until we got our new budget. So we don't have the 11 to 12 month delivery time that a new order would have. And the pricing is through the Missouri State Cooperative Purchase price, the government contract purchasing price. And it is a little bit more than what we had budgeted in the budget, but we're recommending to go ahead with it, partly because of the availability of the machine and partly because the company has assured us that there will be price increases coming after the first of the year, and any new order put in would be at that higher price. We are getting a $53,000 trade-in on the old machine, so the net is a $61,975 purchase. We had $59,950 in the budget for that. The difference there will need to come either from savings that we managed to do in our capital purchasing through the course of the year, or from reserves with the street department. In the past, we've been able to save a couple of $1,000, so we think we'll be able to do that.
Questions?
Make a motion to buy the 2021 John Deere 85G from Martin Equipment in Ashland, Missouri for $61,975 plus trade-in.
Second.
Williams?
Yes.
Hay?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Briggs?
Yes.
Shivers?
Yes.
Item B, discussion American Rescue Act funding project. Mr. Slagle.
Yes, Your Honor. The American Rescue Act did provide funding to communities. The City of Mexico is expected to receive $2,323,964. These funds are to meet the COVID pandemic response needs and to rebuild a stronger and more equitable economy for our communities. Council did review in their budget work session the needs list, and we recognize that not maybe all the projects may even be eligible for funding that we have on our list, because there are several provisions and restrictions on the types of projects that these can be spent on, and they're still writing part of the rules, so until we know the final, it's kind of hard to know. So we've been told to proceed with rating the whole list, and we'll see what we can get funded out of here. So what I need you to do, each of you, and a couple of you have already turned them in, is to take the list that you have in your book, and I need you to rank those as far as what you think is priority, 1 through 11. And those then will be provided in part of the file to identify how we intend to spend those funds. So if you would try to do that and turn that into me by the evening, and I will cover those a little bit here as well as we go through, so the viewing audience knows some of the needs that we have identified, which is an aerial fire truck, Pollock Bridge replacement, wastewater collection system improvement projects, stormwater projects to include dam safety projects, ADA sidewalks, Monroe and Morris intersection realignment, replace the cemetery building, Plunkett Lake cleanout, Garfield Park entrance bridge parking lot construction, City Hall elevator rebuild, and a housing incentive program to start housing subdivision assistance. And then, of course, we provided an additional line there for any other projects the council may wish to put on the list. So that's what we come up with through the budgeting process, and we ask council to rank those, and we'll see what we can get funded.
That's a question. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I thought we approved the elevator being rebuilt.
We have, and we do have that budgeted, but if for some reason, one of these other ones that we can't do, but that can be done, we can take that money and do that, and then take that money to go do the other project.
How exactly do we realign Monroe and Morris?
Yeah, as you know, the way that sets there right now, that would, what they've looked at this point would probably be a roundabout situation there.
Yeah, I know that gets some people excited.
And that would also then realign the driveway out of Mosier's into it as well. So.
Okay, they just fill them out and turn them into you.
Fill them out, turn them in. That's all I need.
Okay.
Have we received part of this already? I know.
We have received half of the funds already.
Right, they're in the banking.
Right, and so then we still have to fill out an annual report that goes in, that needs to be by the end of this month, by Thursday, even though we just got the money. So the report's basically going to say, we got the money, we've done no projects yet, we'll talk to you next year.
Okay, next item on the agenda is claims.
Make a motion to pay the bills?
Second.
Williams,
Yes.
Haig,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Briggs.
Yes.
Shippers.
Yes.
Next item are comments from the council first. Mr. Haig.
I know you all would probably like to talk about the walk back in time, so I'll skip that, but I got to be part of, it was a central Missouri, so it was in Columbia, but a lot of our Mexico businesses support it, and it was a lot of fun, the Step Up for Down Syndrome on Saturday, and I would say that if you ever get the chance to be part of it or go over there, it was a lot of fun, and this was the second time because it was canceled last year, but I thought it was a good thing for when you see a lot of those sponsors on the T-shirts are from Mexico, Missouri, and it's a great cause, and it was a lot of fun to be part of. So glad to be part of that, and I'll let you all talk about other things.
Mr. Williams.
I guess I'll say the walk back in time, I went up there and much bigger than in the past, I will say that. A lot more usage of the property and quite a good turnout. So good job to everybody involved with that. And that's all I got.
Mrs. Briggs.
I like to talk about walk back in time. I went up there and I was amazed at the Lewis and Clark exhibition, and it makes me now want to pull out something, how they got that boat up the river that far. And but anyway, it was an excellent walk back in time, and the weather was nice too. So,
Dr. Shivers.
I got to see the 1860 baseball game at Walk Back in Time. And I see why. I can appreciate people using gloves and stuff now. But it was, it's just a great weekend with homecoming and seeing everybody all dressed up, and all the people in town for the game and everything as well. So Walk Back in Time, it's a great way to be in Mexico.
yeah.
Mr. Schlegel.
Yes, sir. Just a couple of things. Dr. Shivers helped host a meeting last week with Rodney Sampson, and it was really very interesting. what he had to say as far as next generation and work and people returning to work or not returning and some of the things. And it was really kind of enlightening. So I thank you for bringing him. It made you think of a lot of things. So in addition to that, fall cleanup is coming up. And in fact, if you are on the Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday routes, as far as garbage collection, your cleanup day is this Saturday, October 2nd. If you're on the Monday, Thursday route, your cleanup day will be Saturday, October 9th. Now, it's important that we point out to the residents, though, as far as the guidelines, and people do need to pay closer attention to these. What we have had happen in most recent times is people place a lot of things out there, and it's not properly bundled or bagged or boxed or whatever, and it becomes really quite a mess for them to clean up. And they are saying, meaning our collection folks this year, are really saying we have to pay attention to that, because if it is a mess and it's strung all over the yard, they're not going to take the time to clean it up. They're going to drive by it, and you're going to have to do something before they come to get it. So I just want to remind the public of that please think about those folks that's got to stop and pick that up and make sure it is properly bundled, bagged, boxed, strapped together, whatever, so that they can properly get that taken care of for you. You can certainly go to the city's website to check all the rules, and I'm not going to sit here and read a whole 2 pages to you regarding what all those are, so please pay attention to those, from the items to how you need to deal with it. Thank you.
Okay. And everybody's talked about Walk Back in Time. I was there. It was good, great. The homecoming parade was monster. I thought it was never going to quit. Great response. Of course, again, we had great weather, so we had lots of participation. Homecoming game was exciting. Our 90-yard return, it was a couple yards short, was a great deal. We didn't win the game, but we played a good game, and it was quite interesting to watch. I'll remind people the Odd Couple is coming up in the next couple of weeks at Presser Performing Arts, and that's a play, and it should be very interesting. At this time, we'll take public comments. If you would like to come to the podium and make a comment, we ask you to come to the podium, state your name and address, and try to hold your comments to 3 minutes. Seeing none, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Williams.
Yes.
Hay.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes?
Briggs.
Yes.
Shivers.
Yes.